All right, good morning and welcome once again. My name is Dapo Banjo. Welcome to Crossfire. With what appears to be about 16 months into the change that we voted for in 2015, Nigerians are still waiting for the change. Or what are we getting? Like some people say, changey. Ishama, good morning. How are you?
Good morning, Dapo. Good morning, Lagosians, Nigerians, and welcome to Crossfire. And maybe you also need to inform our viewers that in this regime, we need to imbibe the culture and the notion that change begins with us. Does it?
Okay, change begins with us. Change begins with every one of us. Peradventure, that's one of the focus of President Muhammadu Buhari when he came into power. When he was there in 1983, 1984, 1985, all he wanted to do was a change in the person or in the persona of every Nigerian, and that was when he launched the war against indiscipline. All right. Now, at the point we are, Ishama, I mean, is it so late or early enough to probably wish our Muslim viewers Barka de Salah?
It's never too late. I mean, we're not here on Monday, Tuesday during the public holidays.
All right, then, Barka de Salah to all people who are watching us, especially our Muslim brothers and sisters. And as a matter of fact, we haven't seen our rams. I don't know if you got some rams.
Yeah, a few. Well, not pieces of the rams, though. Yeah.
Well, obviously, I'm not talking about a full ram, as it were. Not even in this type of economy. You know, I mean, there is recession is already declared.
Yeah, but then some people took step forward and killed cows. Several cows. So.
Anyway, some people killed. I saw a cow that actually looked like a big ram. So, but in the name of ram, or cow, they killed something. Anyway, Ishama, before we go on, it's very, very interesting to let you know that the Nigerian power lifter, Josephine Orji, last night charted the world record of the world of the women's plus 86 kg powerlifting event at the ongoing 2016 Paralympic Games in Rio, Brazil, with a lift of 154 kg to win the gold medal. Now, as a matter of fact, Ishama, I keep wondering. I think it's even probably better to be crippled. I mean, if sport is going to be, something you want to talk about.
I understand what you mean, though. But at the end of the day, like the Minister for Sport, Mr. Solomon Dalong, was talking about the reason why the other half, fed poorly during their own session at the Rio Olympics was because of ill preparation. But the truth still remains. I don't want us to go into this, really, but it's yes, determination and preparation. But who can you blame? A situation where the government is not active in helping each sporting representative prepare. They have poor training facilities. How do you expect them to put in their best?
But it's the same environment that the crippled people train in.
For many of them now, as we have in the Paralympics, many of them are self-sponsored. And some of them also have agents. They have individuals who sponsor them.
It doesn't matter. That's not why the able-bodied athletes will not perform at the Rio. The special,
it does go a long way. I used to participate actively in a sporting event, so I can tell you this.
I've been a sport
exactly,
person
you too. We know that.
I think it's a mindset.
As a sportsman, if you do not have the requisite training, you don't have the requisite training facilities.
Okay, what is different in terms of training for the special people? What exactly?
You're suffering certain injuries and setbacks. There is no way you're going to put in your best. It's not rocket science. It's not magic. There is no way you put in your best.
Okay. Anyway, we want to say very big congratulations to the special people who are presently still at Rio. And as a matter of fact, the information reaching us is that Nigerians' gold medal has been stepped up to 8 and 2 silver and 1 bronze. And that's really very interesting to note that Nigeria finally at the Olympics, we have a lot of medals to celebrate. Anyway, before we go on the show, we will be bringing you a lot of beautiful stories, but we'll go on a short break now. When we come back, we'll go into the full details for the show today. We'll be right back after this. All right, we are back and welcome once again. It's still Crossfire with Dapo and Ishoma. We want to use this platform to also say at the same time that it's never too late to actually wish all our Muslim brothers and sisters Barika Desala. The only reason why I'm repeating it, again, is the fact that I got little or no ram. And Ishoma got some. Ishoma got some, as a matter of fact. But notwithstanding, I know that I will still reach out to all my Muslim friends to ensure that my ram gets to me, and all of that. All right, let's quickly go into the package that we have for you today. Before we went on that break, we told you that Josephine Orji has won Nigeria's 8th gold medal at the Rio 2016 Paralympics Games in women's plus 86 kg category. And as a matter of fact, the medal brings Nigeria to 11 medals comprising of 8 gold, 2 silver, and 1 bronze. Now, the total has kept Nigeria as the best African country in the medal table, and now 10th overall. Now, Poland's anyway, let's not, I don't want to talk about, the polish. They're still ahead of us a little bit, but notwithstanding.
But we're definitely proud of Team Nigeria.
Exactly. All right, we're running the show today with one of our very own. All the time when we reach out to him to be a part of our show, he's always here. Let's meet GBADEBO, RHODES-VIVOR. GBADEBO, good to have you on the show.
Good morning.
Happy Salah.
Good morning, welcome to CROSSFIRE.
Happy Salah and all of that. Okay, Ishoma, you were trying to make a comment on this very particular story, but I'll take your comment as we go on, and I need GBADEBO to tell me, his own perspective. You took a position that I totally disagree with, but then we will talk about it as we go on. Now, Buhari to chair extraordinary retreat to pull Nigeria out of economic recession. Now, President Muhammad Buhari will today be chairman. Be the chair at an extraordinary retreat in Abuja to seek ways of pulling the economy out of recession. Now, expected at the one-day retreat are Vice President Yemi Osinbajo, members of the Federal Executive Council, and heads of relevant ministries, departments, and agencies. Now, also expected are private sector facilitators and some economic experts who have been invited to offer perspectives during the technical session. So this will be taking place today, and we hope eventually this will translate into something really very positive, to Nigerians eventually. Now, recession, insecurity, headsmen attack, all that top agenda as Senate resumes today. There have been the Senate have been on a 6-week annual recess. The Senate will eventually convene, convened today. I think they actually started to convene on Tuesday with special focus on the present economic quagmire facing the countries topping the agenda. Now, the Senate, it was gathered, is worried over how the economic crisis was telling on Nigerians and plans to work in synergy with the executive arm of government on the way forward. So this we'll be discussing in full as we go on also. Good to also know that, further buttressing the status quo of Nigerian economy is to let you know that Nigerian external reserve fall by $1 billion in 5 weeks. So the decline was attributed to the regulator's almost daily sales of currency or intervention at the new floating foreign exchange market. Africa's largest oil-producing economy or country, Nigeria, sees its external forex reserve down by 2.86% to about $25.45 billion on August 29th, up from 26.2 billion position at July ending. So on a year-on-year basis, the reserve has fallen by 18.9%, and that is not really very smiley, as it were. Ishoma, let's get 1 or 2 more stories from you, and then we go on here.
Now, the former First Lady of Nigeria, Dame Patience Jonathan, has written a letter to the acting chairman of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, explaining that the $31.4 million connected to the financial fraud against Mr. Wari Pamo that Dudafa by the EFCC was for the payment of the medical bills which incurred in London in 2013. But before we go further on this, let's go on a quick commercial break. We'll be right back. Welcome back, and this is the CROSSFIRE with Depo and Ishoma. And yes, we have Mr. GBADEBO RHODES-VIVOR in the studio with us, and we're looking at some of the trending issues. As I was reading out before we went to the commercial break, the former First Lady of Nigeria, Dame Patience Jonathan, has written a letter to the acting chairman of the EFCC, explaining that the $31.4 million connected to the financial fraud leveled against Mr. Waripamo Dudafa by the EFCC was for the payment of the medical bills she incurred in London in 2013. Now, the former First Lady, in her letter to the acting chairman of the EFCC, Mr. Ibrahim Magu, by her lawyers, and co-joined, sorry, I beg your pardon. Okay, now she's asking basically that the EFCC should lift the restrictions on the monies in the accounts. Dapo, which do you have also with it?
Anyway, I'm really very stunned. Are we saying that they built a state-of-the-art hospital with this money, or this money was actually used to treat someone in 1 year, in 2013? GBADEBO, Ishoma, help me out. Because I don't seem to be...
I guess Nigerians will have to help you answer
I don't
that
seem to get this. Was it that a new head was bought, or parts of the body were actually recreated or reformed? I don't get.
Mr. GBADEBO, what's your take?
It's absolutely ridiculous, and it goes to show how these leaders take citizens for granted. You know, and the point is going to come in this country where people are just going to...
$31.4 million.
Can you imagine? Like, that can actually build a state.
And somebody is coming out to say this was actually a death incurred to treat the former wife of the president, First Lady of... I don't understand.
It just shows, really, they think that we're just stupid. And people will just let them get...
And a lawyer has the guts to come out to defend this.
Okay, before we went on
it's the peak of impunity.
When we went on that break, you made a statement and you were asking a question. You were asking us a question that with these issues here and there. Now, a lot of Nigerians have been complaining and saying on social media that with corruption, it seemed like the economy of Nigeria was buoyant and things looked good. Now that the current administration has taken away corruption, a lot of people seem to be agitating. Now, with all of these figures and many more which we've talked about on CROSSFIRE, isn't it better that Nigerians suffer now, enjoy or endure the pains of today, and completely eradicate corruption or relieve corruption in the society, and then in future we keep hearing humongous figures and probably worse figures?
But you do realize that right now, the amount of money for corruption to actually exist no longer exists. Okay. In the sense of the amount of money that was coming in with crude oil and the artificial illusion that was created that everything is okay. Our growth with the rebasing of the economy was not inclusive. There's still a lot of poor people in this country.
Sure.
It's just that right now, things have... It's almost like a father that gets 100 naira every month and spends 97 naira on alcohol and just buying things. So you have the illusion that, my father is making money. Yeah. Sure. Then all of a sudden, they reduce his salary to 30 naira. And you find that he has not done any investments or anything. And everybody starts looking at their father like, what's going on? What's wrong with you? You're a poor man, that kind of thing. But the fact of the matter is, we have been heading in this direction for a long time. The unfortunate thing, though, is that because of so much suffering, as with all human beings and with all societies, people no longer will be thinking rationally. Their responses will be very emotional, which is understandable because the feeling of hunger is a feeling of hunger. It's not intellectual. You understand? It's not something that you think through. No matter how you want to think about it, you're going to be hungry. So now I feel that this government has to show that it's an inclusive government in the sense that they are going to tighten their belts the way they expect us to tighten our belts. Change does not just begin with us. Change begins with them because corruption came from the top.
From the top. And it trickles down.
There was a time where every community, if you go and buy a Mercedes-Benz, your neighbor will come and ask you, how did you buy this car? Yeah. What's going on? Communities were involved. They had integrity. Corruption came from the 10%, those people that brought in, I don't want to call any names, but, back in the day, And they instituted corruption, made it a norm that now that we're trying to take it out, everybody's kicking against it. But when you have the false impression that, oh, there's money in the economy, but you go to the hospital, with your money, there's no gas in the hospital. People are dying. You know, you don't have
No
electricity.
drugs. Yes,
you
no
cannot
drugs.
produce.
Doctors are not well paid.
Doctors are not well paid. They are striking. All of these are real consequences of corruption that Nigerians are yet to realize. There's a brilliant writer, Pius Adesomi, he wrote an article, and he said, what the government should do is all this money that they seize from people, they should use it and put it in infrastructure and actually
No, but
publicize.
that was done. That was actually done by the boy in France.
Yes.
When I mean, the French Revolution was a
Yes.
very quiet revolution. It wasn't. It wasn't like they wanted to really fight. Themselves.
Yeah.
It was a fight against corrupt leaders,
Yeah.
and they had a problem.
Yes.
By the end of the French Revolution, I mean, the story changed.
Exactly.
Paris became the best economy in the world within a very short time because
Yeah.
all the monies that were trapped in people's
Were
accounts were pushed back into the
Exactly.
economy
Exactly.
to really pump it. Now, my concern today is that as many people who want to be a part of this show, what exactly should we do to all public office holders who at one point or the other have milked and
Stolen.
milled, no, not stolen, milked and milled
Yeah.
on the Nigerian, Commonwealth.
Yeah.
You see, because, I mean, as a matter of fact, I think it should be one of the referendum that we need
Of course.
today. What should we do? Look away as if it never happened, or bring them to justice,
Yeah.
and collect our Commonwealth from them,
Back, yeah.
and push the monies back into the Nigerian economy, or we just wait and say, okay, Nigeria is so blessed, let's start afresh. You see, because everything seems to be pointing to the fact that government just want to move on from where we are, not really looking back into what has been done.
Yeah.
The injuries that have been inflicted on Nigeria as a nation. And it's trickling down, just like you said, to the individuals.
Of
And
course.
families are suffering.
Yeah.
People no longer get quality education, and that's because you only send your children to what you can afford.
Exactly.
People no longer live well because, I mean, you cannot live in an environment of a choice any longer when you can bring up a healthy family. So you end up happy. Do you know how many people who die because they can't afford good health?
Of course.
For children, little children who can't talk. For me, I can say, I'm not feeling well. I felt well yesterday, but
Yeah.
I think something is wrong with me,
Yeah.
and I pay attention to my health, and I get something. But for children who does not even know when they are sick, you only know that they are sick when they break down fully, and they cannot do what they normally do.
Yeah.
You understand? The vulnerables in the society. We're talking about the sports guys, the special people who went to Paralympics, and they were able to perform. And then you want to benchmark their performance against the able-bodied Nigerians. And then the question is, why are the special people performing? Now, everybody seems to be taking offense on what Solomon Dalong, the Minister for Sports, said that it's a mindset. People just don't want to serve the country any longer selflessly. You see, because I love the quotes, that normally comes from one of our favorite, guests on the show, Professor Chris Nwakobia Jr. And he would say that, Martin Luther King made that statement long time back. He said, don't always be about what your country can do for you. The question should be, what can I also do for my nation? So if the special people go out there to make impact and represent this country the way they have done, and then the able-bodied guys are complaining, we don't have facility, they can move around, they can do a lot of things. These are vulnerable people on the wheelchair.
Let me come in there.
Okay.
I believe that a country has to earn the patriotism of its citizens.
Thank you.
Why are they earning that
Thank you.
from the special people, and they are not earning it from the able-bodied people?
Well, sometimes it's psychological. If you have something to prove,
Okay.
the person that is going in a wheelchair by himself, is trying to prove something to himself.
That I'm not
not
disabled.
disadvantaged.
I may have disabilities,
Yes.
but I'm not
Exactly.
disadvantaged.
So it's a very different psychological background compared to someone. There are races that on YouTube that show Usain Bolt coming second to the last. Races, professional competition, professional track meets.
Certainly.
And you see that over time he has progressed, and now he's the fastest in the world. People are not just born like that. Your country needs to invest in you. There are countries like Singapore that are giving people almost $700,000 for each medal they bring home.
Thank you.
No,
we
are
can
you saying
barely, we
until
can
Nigeria
barely.
begins to do that before we become patriotic?
See,
Where's your,
and
where's our loyalty?
there are some
Where is
basic,
patriotism?
my brother,
Therefore, let me shock
if
you.
a country cannot ensure adequate health care for its citizens, a country wants to send people to the Olympics and the citizens are struggling, they are funding themselves. I mean, it's just like you're in an abusive relationship.
During the Olympics, well, at Rio de Janeiro for the able-bodied individuals, of course, there were a lot of controversies as regards the accommodations provided by Brazil and all of that for the sports team.
Yeah.
Now, Team USA, I'm talking about the basketball team.
Yeah.
They refused. They said, no, we cannot stay in such an environment because our health is priority for us. And how were they accommodated? They had to rent a yacht. Who gave them the money to rent a yacht for those days? It didn't come from their pockets, It didn't come from their pockets. It came from the States.
Yeah,
so
but you should understand where you're coming from. Remember, my father used to say this to me when I was very young. Remember the son of whom you are. And that has kept me going, Gbadebo. It has reminded me all the time.
Let us not divert also from the main issue now. Let's look at some of the issues going on in the country today as regards education, because I'm particular about the state of the educational sector in Nigeria today. The educational sector in Nigeria is completely collapsed. Not even coupled with the economic recession. A lot of people cannot afford quality education, but we have some of our leaders who are complaining about Forex, and many of them do this disguisingly. They're complaining about Forex to be able to pay
their
for
children's school
fees outside the country. And you're telling me, yes, I know change begins with me, but then we need this country. The leaders need to inspire that change in the people. You're telling me that change begins with me. Your child is schooling abroad at the best schools, Harvard and the rest of them, and then somebody here is attending an Akara school, if I can put it that way, and you expect that individual to be patriotic.
But Ishama, I went to a public school. I went to a public school.
Let me listen to you.
What was the quality of the public school you went to and today now? We can't compare.
Okay.
Let me link this, education and sports.
Okay.
My father went to Greg's, and his brother went to Greg's, and till today, they still talk about Greg's.
Exactly.
They are so proud of Greg's. When all of them and their friends said, like, up Greg's, the KC guys were like, KC, there was something special. So it was for you to have that kind of emotional tie to a school, and you're in your late 60s.
It means the school actually has given back to you.
And then when it comes to sports, it was so well organized. He used to play cricket for Lagos State. My uncle used to run for Lagos State, and they would talk about how they would go to different states and participate in all these sports. And then you find that when they go and meet with somebody from the East, because there was also a corresponding school in the East, they know themselves. They were all the runners, sports, they were proud of it.
Now, let me give you a perspective to this. When I played football, at least the active football period that I played was when I served.
Yeah.
I still represented Niger State, and I participated in the Director General's Cup.
Yeah.
And we went to Abuja for the finals. We came third in my set. Now, but the truth was that how was I spotted? Aside from the normal, parades that we normally do in camp, I wake up earlier. I will jog. I had a ball. I will practice. I will do a lot of things that I was doing, and I was spotted to have been brought into a platoon, and then eventually we did inter-platoon competition, and then I was eventually selected as one of the people to represent, and all of that. I did my part, and then the states did their part. Let's take this call anyway before we continue. Daniel, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Good
morning, Daniel. How are you?
I'm very, very
Thanks
happy.
for calling.
How are you guys doing?
Very well.
Good.
Okay.
Let's take your contribution.
I really like what you guys are doing right now. But I just want to say one or two things based on your...
Can you speak a bit louder, Daniel?
My first lady. Hello?
Yeah, you're sounding really very low. Can you be a bit
Can you hear me right now?
Okay, yes.
Yes, we can.
Yeah, what I want to say is to just say one or two things based on what you said about former first lady. Hello?
Go ahead, Daniel.
Okay, what I want to say is this. I'm not supporting what is going on concerning the COVID. But what I want to say is, if you want to do investigation, why not allow the rule to take its full course than just going to the press, castigate the first lady that he has this, he has this. To be fair to us, a lot of people that are even talking about the first lady that in the other party, if they have into their bank account, they will see mostly than what is in the first lady account. But the issue that is going on is, I think that when it comes to the issue of people that belong to Jonathan or serving Jonathan government, the whole world will and this is going to come down. And the other people, but there's a particular minister in the Niger Delta, which is Rotimi Amechi, of which everybody knows. And a lot of allegation has been hung on his neck, but nobody cares to look how much Amechi has taken from River State Treasury. So this is something that we should be talking about, not because I'm not holding brief for the first place, but it should be fair. If you are fighting corruption, it should be holistic. It should not just be one-sided. That's just my own point.
All right, thank you very much, Daniel.
All right.
Hello, good morning, Ambassador.
Yeah, good morning.
How are you today?
We thank God for today.
Ambassador Okoribo, right?
Yeah.
All right, let's take your comment.
Yeah. About the topic in place, you see, it's a good thing that this program is coming up on Wazobia.
Thank you, sir.
But one thing I really want to say is that, you see, it's all about mindset, individual mindset, not only on the part of the citizenry, but even on those on the leadership position.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And just like the change mantra is going on now, they say it is change begins with me. So the change now begins with Mr. President. And I want to tell you, if you recall 1985, when this man came to power, we had what we call the war against indiscipline. I can tell you today, we still have an instinct of that in us today. Those of us who were very young that time.
Correct.
And today, again, we are having yet another change. Beginning with you, the 1, 2, 3 of you that are standing there. Beginning with the owner of the station. Beginning with Mr. President, the governor, and all the rest of them. And even, so as far as that is concerned, we are looking forward to a nation, a newborn nation, a newborn nation. And unusual, Mr. Former First Lady, you see, justice should be made to prevail. But the best justice I think that we can do here is that, please, whoever is holding our resources, in terms of physical cash or whatever, to please bring them back to us. And like you were talking about there, when they are brought back, let them be converted to physical infrastructural development, so that Nigerians can see and begin to know that, yes, the need for us to embrace the change is of essence.
Wow,
Thank you very much.
wow.
Well said.
Thanks so very
Thank
much,
you.
Ambassador, for that very insightful contribution. Okay, GBADEBO.
Yeah, I was going to say the first caller that spoke about how people are highlighting Patience Jonathan. See, if somebody, I think Nigerians have not actually got into their brain that this is our money. If somebody has been stealing from me, and I know that this person has stolen, I'm interested in getting my money.
GBADEBO, I have a concern. Sorry to interject.
Yeah, go ahead.
So that you can still make your point. My point is just that we are getting too emotional with the past administration. We're getting too, and you know one thing emotion does? It holds you down. Anger, jealousy, malice, you know, it holds you down. And I think it's one of the things that is actually impeding this economy. And it's not making this current administration to perform. I may be totally wrong, but I stand to be corrected. But the truth is just that I think we are getting too emotional about what has happened. Let's move on. We can continue side by side to ensure that those things are done, but we need to revamp this economy. That's the point.
Okay, Dako, let's quickly take this call before we lose it. Hello, good morning.
Hello.
Good morning. Good morning.
Thank you
morning,
for holding
boss.
on.
Yeah. For God's sake, this is a democratic setup.
Okay.
And we're trying to delve into private lives of former leaders. The issue is, why can't you checkmate the account of other former first ladies? This woman has judiciously said he had that money for her treatment. Take Mr. Buhari, who went for ear treatment. How much did he spend in UK
Compare that money with the dollars this woman has spent. If we really mean to handle situations and get out of this recession, please, let's not go one-sided.
Okay.
Let's diversify. Let all those people, right from Babangida, Obasanjo, everybody, not only Jonathan. I'm not pro Jonathan, please. I'm a Nigerian, a complete Nigerian. But let's tell the world the truth. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Hello, good morning, Stanley.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Stanley, good morning.
Good morning.
All right, go ahead. Let's take your contribution.
Okay. My contribution is that there are so many policies in Nigeria that are just like fallow without being harvested.
Okay.
One is that had it been Jonathan as a person, he could be a military officer, a retired officer before he became president. Right now, nobody would have been talking about him. Two, if Hadigun Abacha did not die on seat,
That's true.
he would have been one of the kingmakers in Nigeria today.
That's true.
So what I was talking about fighting corruption, doing whatever we are, let us tell ourselves the truth. There's no truth in Nigeria until our leadership tell us the truth of their activities or the covenant they had in being there at the top. We will never have it right in this country. God bless Nigeria.
Stanley just dropped a very hard nut to crack.
Okay.
I mean, that is a very hard one.
But you see,
Very hard one
this
to
is
read.
the thing, yeah?
Yeah.
Let us mix idealism with reality,
Okay.
yeah? There's a precedence being set now that will not have been done before.
Okay.
People came into power and they are going after looted funds. A point is going to come where someone else is going to come to power and go after the Amitis, go after the Babangidas.
Almost everybody in Buhari's administration.
Yes.
Yeah.
But the precedent has to be set. As far as I'm concerned, Nigerians are winning. This is not a premiership game where you just watch Arsenal and Man U play and go. These things affect your life directly because corruption only gets worse.
Okay.
And
It's
if
endemic.
and if a precedent is not set, people in my generation, lower generation, will think that they can just go into power and be taking things anyhow. And it's only going to get worse. I mean, my parents were complaining that Nigeria was so much better in their time. Now I'm seeing what Nigeria is. So it's literally getting worse. And it has to be stemmed as far as I'm concerned.
Okay, now Ishoma and GBADEBO, I have a question. I asked this question, earlier on, but because we have a lot of stories.
Yeah.
I am of the opinion that a country like Nigeria needs to get back on track.
Yes.
Now, but the point is that what is the path what exactly is the path for Nigerians? What role are we playing or expected to play to get Nigeria back on track? Now, we're talking about, okay, past leadership, what they have done, people who have stolen. Some people are of the opinion that we should go back into even the military, time. And some people are saying, start from the immediate administration. Now, Buhari was not in government when Babangida ruled. He was not in government when Abacha was there. He was not in government when Abdul Salami came. He was not in government when democracy was entrenched and up till now. So the only privilege Buhari has is the last administration, as it were, because it took over from them. So if I am on a seat in an organization, if I'm taking over, the person who have a right to hand over to me is my needed predecessor. And so that is what I'm expected to pay attention to. Let's take Pastor John's call. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
How are you today?
John.
I'm fine. How are you doing there?
Very well, thank you.
Yeah, GBADEBO, good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, I actually want to speak on this issue of corruption that we are talking about.
Okay.
We just made mention of $31.4 million used in treating our former president's wife. Without considering what the house I just spent recently, $30 million to buy a car for 5,000 people, which is equivalent to 1.something trillion naira out of Nigerian treasure. And we are still talking about taking away corruption, win people's trust. We cannot win its citizen trust without getting the ideology.
Exactly.
What have you sacrificed for these citizens?
Exactly.
For them to be to have
So for you to
loyalty over
win me, you must have done
these are the
something.
things
You know.
these are the things that we just need to look into before asking if citizens can give out what they have. Because even as of now, they have nothing. So all they have is the trust in you, and you have jeopardized it. So where do you want them to start from? Thank you.
All right. Thank you so very much, John. Well
I
spoken.
really want to respond.
Hello. Good morning.
Really want to respond.
All right. Okay.
we-
Ishama. Over to
Okay,
you.
now before we go on that quick commercial break, now Familia said something that, look, we're talking about, you know, the former First Lady of Nigeria and how much she stole and all of that. But now, you know,
Allegedly
stole. Now I'm asking myself, now, is the role of a First Lady constitutionally recognized in Nigeria? What role, what impact does she have to play on the lives of Nigerians constitutionally?
No, but the point is just that the point, Ishama, is
because
that
he talked
she
about
is the president. She is the president's wife. She is the president's wife. That office cannot.
Familia mentioned also comparing her, you know, the funds for her illness with that of the president. You can't compare.
No, I think this life was actually bought. This life has been bought over, insured for life. Patient Jonathan cannot never die. I'm sorry to sound sarcastic,
before we go on that commercial break also. And he also made a statement saying that, look, Mr. President should not just probe, you know, the immediate administration. How about those with him? And look, the truth is, for some of us who are probably the eldest or who have, you know, parents, when parents see, and I'm trying to draw this comparison, now when parents see that you as a, you know, as the eldest, you're leading certain positive, you have certain positive traits, they will always use you as a reference point to your
can't
siblings.
You see your brother,
can't you see the way your brother reads? Don't you want to be, you know, like him? To inspire faith and you know, confidence in that sibling. Now, when the elder one is also going wrong, they look at you and say, they castigate the elder one like, look, you must show positive examples to your siblings. Now, my issue is, President Muhammadu Buhari certainly has every right to probe the immediate past administration. So Nigerians should get ready. More revelations will come. Okay. I remember during the handover, Governor Wike came out to say that, you know, he met the State House empty. Everything was looted. Everything was carted away. And former Governor Amaechi Rivers came out and said, if that is true, then where are the evidences? Probe me.
Okay.
Sue me. But that never happened.
All right. We'll go on a short break now. When we come back, we'll continue our analysis. We'll be right back after this. All right, we're back, and thanks for staying with us. It's the last laugh of the show. Ishama is still very much here. We have GBADEBO RHODES-VIVOR as our guest in the studio, and it's still CROSSFIRE. My name is still Dapo Banjo. It has not changed. As a matter of fact, we were considering a couple of things before we went on that break, and the concern is, first of all, 31.4 million was actually spent on the health of the former president's wife, that is Dame Patience Jonathan. And I'm still very bewildered, marooned, dazed, flabbergasted, you know, taken aback that, I mean, such humongous amount of money really has been spent, you know, on the health, you know, of our former First Lady. Now, the point is just that, I mean, I'm waiting for the EFCC, since they are very much on the matter, you know, and the former First Lady, in a letter to the acting chairman of the EFCC, Mr. Ibrahim Magu, by her lawyers, Granville Abino, SAN, and co-enjoin the Economy and Financial Crime Commission and Skybank to lift the restriction placed on the account. I really am wondering where these people are from, you know, writing to say, I mean, the ban should be lifted. She further went to say that she has been using the account to pay for her medical bill and other personal purposes, and she is a law-abiding citizen, claiming ownership. She didn't say the money is not mine. You know, at this point, you know, she doesn't even have an idea that the Economic, you know, and Financial Crime Commission would have done due diligence before they will issue a garnishing on this very particular account. Unfortunately, it's very, very sad, you know, and all of that. Now, anyway, let's take this conversation to another level. We are in the stage we are, and we were, I mean, basically today we're looking at what the country has to give to me and what I can give back. Knowing fully well, okay, the economy is in the state in which we have found it or we are seeing it. But the point is, what should be my expectation of my country and what should be the expectation of my country about me? What I own Nigeria is patriotism, is loyalty. And I'm doing my best as a good citizen. I am law-abiding, borrowing the words of the former First Lady. I'm law-abiding. I pay my tax. I'm doing my part. But I don't seem to be getting, exactly, and I don't seem to be getting a commensurate effort on government to affect my life directly. And you want me to keep,
now let me
keep
ask
my
that.
patriotism
how
and my
many
loyalty.
Nigerians, I'm not saying this to sound biased on the show, but how many Nigerians actually are law-abiding?
How many people are supposed to?
Because I also know now. For once, maybe,
so does that give the government? Does that give the Nigerian government?
It does not. It does not. But when you have a consciously awoken citizenry, they force the government to be law-abiding. They force the government to comply with the laws.
People will die.
People will not die.
Let me tell you something.
This is
the only way in some other climes and climates that the citizen of a country have been able to get the attention of the government is revolution. And that is not what we want to promote in Nigeria. It's even really very difficult. Before we get there, you would expect.
It took the social media awakening in Nigerians to be able to force, the last administration towards the later part, and even the current administration to be more accountable in terms of the things that before now,
nobody
Nigerians exactly. So the truth is now when you have, and all of this boils down to education. When I say education, I'm talking about the curriculum, the regular curriculum, and improvised and improved curriculum, and then the non-included aspects of education in the curriculum.
Okay, but I have a question for you.
It's simple.
Peradventure, this economy has helped you. Who you are?
That is a good question.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Maybe you have been able to get something, from Nigeria, as it were. Yeah. But for some of us, all we have done for our lifetime up till now is that we keep giving back, even to the government, and the government is not. It doesn't seem to be
quite honest. I truly believe that the consciousness that created this problem and mess that we're in can never solve it. These people are the same people that are still rotating. We as citizens need to understand that it is us that it is affecting. True. We need to stop with this premiership type of politics.
So what should us do?
We need to start taking elections more serious. Do you know how many people don't come out for elections?
I want to
No. Citizen education gives birth to civic engagement.
I agree.
And citizen engagement.
But even with education, we are still going. There was one time I was in a keke napep, and the guy told me that, this next election, I'm not going to go and be voting for anybody because they gave me rice or anything. Because after I give it to them, we try and talk to them, they just ignore us. He did not go to school to learn that.
Certainly.
The facts of his reality has taught him that. Now, if all of us and all the intellectual educated people sit down at home when it's time for elections, why is it that we are always pigeonholed into this PDP, APC? Why can't we think outside those boxes? Look at people's precedents and say, you know what, let's give another group of people a chance. Let's look at other parts.
You are talking about education. Who should? I should educate myself. I would have expected that a country that is expecting the best from its citizenry will give to them first.
But they don't want that because they need to keep us divided. They need to keep us divided and they don't want to be accountable.
No,
that is directly related to the quality of education.
All of this education it's not directly related to the
formal
curriculum.
Education,
It's not directly related to the curriculum. Now, you said something about people need to think outside the box. When I talk about true education, I'm talking about the kind of education that will spur civic engagement and citizen engagement. Civic engagement, I'm talking about individuals, well-meaning individuals, in the society, who live amongst the people,
Yeah.
coming together to say, okay, come, let us do certain things for ourselves. This is our community.
Exactly.
Do not have the mindset that, okay, it's my business, I can live in my house and do whatever I want to do. No, people should come together in that community and be responsible for themselves. When it's time for the elections, people will say, no, I'm tired of the APC, PDP
Okay,
issue. Let us look within
take your last word.
ourselves and
We have to
pick people
go.
to represent us.
Yeah.
That is how you inspire true change.
And
Come on.
I think that now that we've removed a incumbent and we've now seen what is happening with these people that we hope for, this is a period where a new group of people have to emerge and actually set a standard. Because if a new group
new set of people emerge and set the standard for the change, you know, that Nigerians want. This is how far we can go today. Tomorrow, you don't want to be any other place. You just want to watch this show as we discuss towards a better Nigeria on Crossfire. Do join us. Stay out of trouble. God bless you.
To enjoy more of these our Ogbonge videos when you just watch, press this button to subscribe on top of our YouTube page. You go love am.